Good evening. My name is Ann Hall, and last summer, the four of us were called by who were we called by? The support committee for Travis and Bekii Kisamore to go and visit them in Chile. It's the dark time of year in Chile in August, and they were really needing some support, and the four of us, volunteered to go down and see them. Can we get our pictures up? This is Justin and Caitlin and Ian, and the four of us went down as a prayer walking and support mission, and we did a lot of walking in the cold and rain. The spiritual atmosphere, this is on Chiloé Island, which is the largest island in the Chilean archipelago. And it is a country unto itself, kind of, because it is an island with a lot of local mythology. And the local mythology has been mixed with Catholicism. So they have this really dark mix of Catholicism and their local mythology. And it's very spiritually dark atmosphere. Next. And we got around however we could, and we got wet a lot, and that's how we traveled. Caitlin and I often in the front, and the guys getting wet in the back of the pickup truck. Next. And they have very ornate graveyards because they have like ancestor worship, and it's a very oppressive spiritual atmosphere there. Next. This is Louisa. We spent a lot of time at her house, and Ian's going to address Louisa. That's kind of out of order. Next. Oh, these are really out of order. Next. Next. We'll just go through them again. This is an example of a roadside ancestor worship thing that they do. They build these roadside altars to their ancestors who were particular to that spot for some reason. Next. And this is what I really wanted to show you. These are bookmarks that were for sale, and they show some of the local creatures that inhabit this island. And you run into this a lot there. It's really very interesting. Okay, let's get the next slide. And I'm going to turn it over to Caitlin.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, and like she said, we walked around and prayed a lot, did prayer walks, but we also got to spend time with people that Bekii and Travis have relationships with, minister to, and they welcomed us in as if we were family. And so this is one picture of them cooking us, I wish I could remember the name of this dish. It's a traditional Chilean meal, layers of food. That whole pot is filled with layers and layers of food. And they didn't have to do that. We'd already eaten at their house once, and that's all Bekii and Travis had planned for us to eat there. And then they said, "Oh, please let us make you this dish." And so we were just really, really welcomed there. Next slide, please. Oh yeah, that's the mussels. They were huge and cheap and really good. So just a taste, so that you want to go there too. All right. This is some members of the youth group and kids club that they have. They have a kids club that meets, and then when some of the younger kids started to grow up and kind of get older, they started this youth group, which is really more of middle school age kids that they meet with. And we got to know some of them. That's Ian. They loved his iPad. So, and this is two parents of some of the kids that are in the youth group. We didn't meet any other fathers, really. He was the only father we met because fathers are kind of absent in this culture. And that's one of the girls in the youth group and her child. She's just in high school. Okay, next slide. And this is a picture of some of the youth group kids that they minister to. It was really cool to see Bekii do a lesson in Spanish to them, just as if it was nothing. And they seemed pretty engaged. And I know recently they went on a trip onto the mainland together, kind of a retreat, and they had never really gotten to do something like that before. Next slide. A lot of laughter happened at this trip, too. You can do the next slide. This family, the girl in the left in the red sweatshirt, her name is Paulina, and Bekii and Travis have really been kind of mentoring her in her faith. And her two daughters are on the floor, and then this is her parents and her brother. And we got to have a Bible study with them, and so that's one of the people they're building relationships with. Next slide. And then this is Louisa, and I'm going to let Ian talk about her. But they have the kids club, the youth group. They have some people they do Bible studies with, like Paulina's family that you just saw. They also are just building relationships any way they can, even in just workout groups and things like that, as they just try to kind of start a church body there. So, and then Louisa is one of the other parents of the kids who go to the youth group, and Ian's going to talk about her. So,
good evening. My name is Ian Jacobs, and some of you up there might know me as Mr. Jacobs because I teach at the high school. I'm used to going on mission trips where I work. My hands get dirty. I go and I build something, and there's a product at the end it's a tangible thing that you can bring home. So this was an interesting experience for me because it was a prayer and worship and support mission trip. So I wasn't quite sure what I was going to bring home with me, but I was pleased that what I brought home was much more than I ever expected. Just a little background, we left it in Texas, it was 92 degrees, and when we got to Chile, it was around 30 degrees. So the temperature drop in August was quite significant. And my own personal desires that we were going somewhere and it was going to be warm, and but I really realized that God took us to this place in this time because He really wanted us to experience the weather along with the atmosphere in Chile, because it was quite perfect that the youth praise team sang "Did You Hear the Mountains Tremble?" Because I just want to say a few lines from that because it pertains to Chile and Kemchi. Did you feel the mountains tremble? There's mountains all around in Chile. Did you hear the oceans roar? We were literally on the ocean most of the time. And then when the people rose up to sing of Jesus Christ, the risen one, and I really believe that is Bekii and Travis's goal in that village, that people would rise up and that they could hear Jesus' voice everywhere, because right now it's a very dark and cold place. It's very dreary, not only literally cold, but it just seems like the streets are spiritually cold. And Travis and Bekii are doing an amazing job to reach out to the people there. And one of being Louisa, who Bekii and Travis have a great relationship with. Another background for me is that I direct the musicals and the dramas at the high school. And this was a time that I was going down and praying myself what I could do in the future. We were making some decisions of what musical I was going to do. I had one idea, my musical director had another idea, and I was kind of at a crossroad. And then I met Louisa and everything came into place, because Louisa's job was to make traditional dance costumes for a Chilean dance group. And when I saw her working on the costumes, actually she was working on finishing some outfits for some preschoolers when we were there, but then she showed us the costumes she made, and it just clicked. And I said to myself, I'm going to do Oklahoma because I just found my costume designer. So you're asking how everything fits together. I went to Chile thinking, what am I going to get out of this? And I really learned that God can work in every situation, not just the situations that we want God to work in, but sometimes God opens up doors in every situation. And God said, this is a situation that I want you to be in right now. Louisa has now made 18 of our costumes, and this is one of them for our performance of Oklahoma. And I have to tell you that Louisa is so excited that her work is outside of Chile. And when I talk to her, she says, I'm just so excited that people in America are going to see my work. So please know that Bekii and Travis are doing an amazing job in Chile. They are meeting the needs of the people that they serve. Travis is really starting to explore his role as a man in the community and how he can really work with other men in the community and build them up as strong fathers. And just as a little plug before I'm done, Oklahoma is April 12th, 13th, and 14th at Chambersburg Area Senior High School. On 12th and the 13th, it's at 7:30, and the 14th at 3 p.m. And you can come see Louisa's 18 costumes that she made. So God really does work in amazing ways if we just allow Him to enter our lives and not to have our wills, but His will be answered. So thank you very much. And now we have Justin, who just has some things that we can be praying for.
All right, so I'm Justin Hanks, and here's some, well, first I want to thank anybody who's supporting Bekii and Travis. Here's some other supports that you can do through prayer. They are going through an adoption process right now, and to pray for no unnecessary delays. Pray for freedom from spiritual oppression there, alcoholism, and depression. Also, pray for the youth group and the kids club that Bekii and Travis are taking part with, and the different Bible studies that they have created there, along with the relationships they're building with believers and non-believers on the island. Also, if you could pray for, they're coming back to the States in July. It's a time to prepare them for the next 4 years, which they'll be back in Chile in the same city of Kimchi. And that's everything. Thank you.